We cold open.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Like,
Act natural.
we can decide when to cut in on whatever we're doing here.
Yeah,
all
that's
right.
fair.
Well, we're recording now, so
yeah,
we can start.
We gotta
whenever.
kind of start something that's funny to start off as with a cold open.
All right.
Like what?
Yeah, like
what
cold
makes
opens.
It, like
am I
what
right?
makes it get a cold open?
Nothing.
Like just
it has to be a grabber.
It has to be a non sequitur.
Non-sequitur.
Like
Lol XD roar.
Yeah, it has to be kind of random. 2006 random.
Do we just start talking today?
Yeah, well, we kind of have our conversations that we have.
Oh, like before we're getting set up, because it's like,
Yeah.
oh, we're queuing behind the scenes, but we're
Yeah.
just as funny as the
Yeah.
people. We're not playing characters. These are like who we really are.
This is the real us.
This is the real one.
This is the me I have to live with every day.
It's a candid
yeah, this
shot.
Is a candid Kids say the darndest things. It's kind of like that.
Oh my god.
Didn't Bill Cosby host that?
Yes, he sure did, with little kids on his lap.
That could be a cold open.
A cold open.
That's our cold open. Welcome to TomKado, everybody.
What?
Our guest today is Greg Heffley.
Greg
What's his last
Heffley.
name?
Yeah.
It's from the Diary of the Wimpy Kid
Yeah,
series.
yeah,
We
you
actually
taught
got the
me.
physical
Famous,
character.
Tom Kenny wrote actually based Diary of a Wimpy Kid on this. Greg
Tom
Heffley
Kenny
right
didn't
here.
write Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
Who
Yeah,
wrote
I'm-
Diary of a Wimpy
Tom
Kid?
Kenny's SpongeBob. His voice is SpongeBob. Tom
So
Kenny.
we've got Greg Heffley here with us.
Yeah, it's
today.
an honor to be here, Tom.
Yeah.
I come from the adequate podcast Sugoi Kakkoii.
Oh my god.
You may have heard of it.
I haven't heard of it either.
All right. Well, as our first guest.
I think guess first.
Yeah,
honestly.
guest go
Like-
first.
like-
Wait, who
should-
else am I? Who else are we talking to?
Well, I'm Kaden.
Yeah.
If you didn't pick up the fact that Greg called him Tom already.
Yeah, I'm Tom. T-Bone.
T-Bone, T-Pain. I go.
Yeah, I go by Ludacris as well. It's another pseudonym.
All right. Well, the podcast is off to a great start.
All right, well, guess first. What's your topic here today?
What's my topic? Well, I came in here not knowing really how to introduce anything really for this podcast, but then
It's a little bit of free ball. It's
it
a
hit
free
me.
ball.
It hit me.
Yeah, we're
It hit me.
freeballing it here
Yeah, it
today.
hit me. Well, why don't we talk about fan fiction?
Oh, I love him.
That's a good start.
Oh yeah, that sounds like a really good start.
Intimately related.
And
to
intimately, yeah. Okay.
Tom's a bit of an aficionado
Yeah, so,
when it comes to
we'll
fan
get to
fiction.
that later.
Yeah, so the inspiration for this, it came when I realized that one of the people in this podcast, Tom himself, he himself is a Sonic fan fiction writer.
I am.
And I was...
Can you just throw out your username
The
real
blood
quick?
of the Echidna, Fudgeman68,
Fudgeman68.
fanfiction.net.
Like when you have 68 as like the suffix to it, you tried
No, I
69
tried,
and you
yeah,
didn't
I
get
definitely tried 69 and Fudgeman69 was somehow taken.
Oh my gosh.
So Fudgeman68 DeviantArt, not DeviantArt.
DeviantArt,
You can
DeviantArt.
probably get a DeviantArt account, but right now it's only on fanfiction.net, your premium source for fanfiction.
Yeah, honestly. No, but the reason why I bring this up is because, this was like sort of my first introduction to truly reading fan fiction and not listening to all the stigmas, right? And Tom did a great job. Tom did a great job with his 696 words. But what I realized later...
That's low test in the world of
Yeah.
fan
What I
fiction.
realized later is that so many people are so invested in this genre, in this website, and it's
It's less of a
borderline
genre.
insane.
It's like a fringe movement. You'd
well,
say.
yeah,
It's like counterculture.
I mean, kind of.
4.5 million words are sometimes invested in these stories.
That's not even-
It's so ridiculous.
Can we talk?
It's
Can we
not
talk
even an
about that
exaggeration.
specific?
Like there's a Super Smash Bros.
Yeah.
Series,
Yeah,
Super Smash Bros.
four-
fan fiction that's
What's it called?
4.5
Subspace
million words.
Emissary.
Yeah.
Subspace
Yeah.
Emissary is.
But
yeah.
no, that got surpassed. That got surpassed with the 4.5 million one, which is a Fleet Symphony. Or no, it's like something.
Oh yeah, it's a
Fleet Sym-
Kandai collection
But
fan
it's,
fiction.
right, and in the Wikipedia page, it begins with the paragraph in a post 9/11 world.
That's how it intros it. That's
Like-
on like the TV tropes page. It's like, well, in a post 9/11 world,
No, but like
That's not a good
yeah,
ship-
like, and-
ship girls are fighting each other.
No, but like as an outsider looking into all this, it seems crazy. Like why
It
would you
is
ever,
crazy.
Like you're not doing this for profit. You're only doing it for the fun of it. But like at what point do you realize that you're literally writing 4 million words
Well-
into a story that is not going to mean anything to the internet, especially since these aren't even the most popular stories
To
on
be
fan
fair,
fiction.
some fan fiction writers do make money. There was 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh
was
yeah,
was
that's
it,
true.
What's it called?
It
Twilight
it was
fan
Twilight.
fiction?
Yeah.
Like,
And
what got
and there's a
rewrote?
thing on Amazon you can do now where they have certain shows that they bought the rights to. Like they bought Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and if they can take a portion of your earnings but you can actually write a fan fiction story and make money off of it.
Yeah, I actually heard about it. Is that called like Amazon World or something?
Yes,
yeah,
that's what it is.
Got it. Well, I did some more research onto this because like the topic was fan fiction. I wanted to learn more, right?
Did you interview like the guy who wrote it?
No. So I
Can we
went
get him on the
in.
podcast?
Cheeto powdered like fingers. Like
Yeah.
my
Every
mother's
day-
kind
every
enough
day I
to.
start off my day with 4 monsters, and I write 5,000 words.
Oh my gosh.
Little
No, like
short
I kind of wanted to
sprints
say,
of
He's
5,000.
drenched in grease.
Oh, God.
Hasn't left his house in the past 4 years.
Oh my God.
Ew.
No, like I just wanted to see like if there was more to just like Mary Sue's and like the stereotypes and the stigmas that are around fan fiction. So of course we go to the first place and the best place for any experimental dive into a fandom, Ruby.
No, and
So-
you lost
so
me.
basically-
And you lost
so
me.
here's my trial run. I go into the Ruby and I just sort by best, most followers because I imagine that the stories with the most followers are going to be the best stories.
Yeah,
right?
of course.
And I read the story called Remnant's Reclaimer, and unironically, I was actually interested.
Oh my god.
And hear me out.
Craig.
Hear me out.
Yeah, I'm
Oh, we're
okay.
listening. We're
okay.
listening. We're listening.
What I find, like, I'm not gonna say it because like the actually first story was like some sort of like John. He goes back in time and saves the world fic, and I'm like, what am I even reading? And I was done. But like this I guess I don't even know story. I guess we can still call it a story. It
you
was,
said you like this, right?
yeah, like it was interesting because Ruby. I'm sure we both know. Well, we three know that it's not spectacular
Yeah.
in terms of writing.
No,
it's
no.
a
It
little
really
bit
isn't.
Not the
It's
best in
not
the world.
spectacular in terms of anything.
like so, but like
It's on Crunchyroll. Shut your mouth.
This story, it actually made it serious. I was actually invested in drama. Like I only
I can't
read
even
5
get
series,
invested in
but
normal Ruby. How do you get invested in Ruby fanfiction?
because it developed a tone that wasn't, oh yeah, we're going to a Huntsman Academy, and I was like, wow, thanks, I guess.
What was it then? It was just like, oh well, the blood rained down from the kill that she had just performed. Like, what do you mean tone? It's Ruby.
Okay, no, so basically what is happening here, and I was a little bit put off by the summary at first, but it sort of, the concept was cool. So essentially, I guess this like 30-year-old Ruby, who essentially has seen all of her, like basically everyone around her die, decides to go back into, like, basically goes back in time to start of like
because
when.
time travel is always
Yeah, it's not,
addition to
like,
plot.
I mean, the
What?
top 10 were all time travel. I had to bite the bullet somehow.
What? What are you kidding me?
Like,
Because
oh, God.
when you have a fully fleshed out story, there's nowhere to go except back in time
Yeah,
to
there's
change
no-
the
yeah.
existing story.
So
just make a spin-off or something.
No,
like,
like, it
why,
was
why do you
Dragon Ball
have
Z
to
went
have...
on for long enough that they just had to start going back in time in the same series.
yeah, well, like what made this one interesting is that here you have like this grizzled Ruby that's like is nowhere near
You
the
just said
most
this
like
grizzled
yeah,
Ruby.
yeah,
Punish
you just said
Ruby.
those words.
Punish
No, like,
Ruby,
she-
a
she's
girl
like-
without
it's
an
like-
academy.
She's nothing like the naive
So
like girl
it's
in
like
canon.
the future big boss in like
Yes,
Metal Gear.
You would say it's like a Metal
like
Gear-esque
she
story.
actually becomes like a character that I would actually like to read about, not
not
Real
watch
Right, no,
Ruby.
so this is proof to me that you've lost grip on why you enjoy narrative. Like, yeah, I hear you come up with these wild stories about these really bad TV shows that you're watching, and I think, oh man, this guy has lost connection with reality. He finds himself wanting to learn more about the future Ruby character.
Oh my
This man is insane.
Oh my god.
he what ifs the scenario so he can get something he can enjoy.
I mean,
he needs to
okay.
get that new high.
Okay, like at this point, I'm sort of seeing a pattern because like even though I'm like saying it was actually interesting, I'm not saying that. Oh man, I'm gonna be a
Are you
freaking
gonna
fan.
be-
I'm not
yeah,
like a
no,
fan
I'm
fiction
doing more
author.
fan fiction.
Probably not.
No, I'm not.
The point of what I'm saying though is that realistically, like 80% of these fan fiction are like Mary Sue in disguise,
Probably more than
in
that,
some
but-
way or another, right? But what's interesting is to see how people sort of take that in like all these different directions, and how if they actually notice the flaws of these shows and make them better, I guess. Like, granted, it's amateur hour.
Yeah, well,
But-
there's merit.
but
There's merit
there
in
is
fan
merit
fiction.
To
to
me,
it.
all fan fiction is in a way just like fantasy fulfillment. You've seen the show before. You somehow most fan fiction have self-insert.
Yeah.
And
Well, obviously,
there's
that's the
some
point.
way that they have now control over their show, that because of how fandom works, the more of a fan you are of something, the less you actually like that thing.
Yeah.
So like the most hardcore Star Wars fans hate every single Star Wars movie, and they would love to have entire creative freedom and control over the story of Star Wars, which is why the extended universe was created, because the Star Wars fans hate Star Wars so much that they had to make a new Star Wars.
I mean, that's fair. Like, you can enjoy
I'm not
it
saying-
gives a voice to the least, like, some people can, like,
Yeah.
voice what they think should be better, and not, like, obviously not always is that going to be the case, like, it is actually
No,
better,
almost never is it the case, because these people are schmucks in their basement
Yikes.
writing fan fiction, as opposed to like, oh yeah, you think teenage 13-year-old girl writing a Doctor Who fan fiction knows more about narrative than Stephen Moffat?
Well, would you argue, like, if the source material is awful to start with,
No, because
that the
then
fan
why would
fiction
you want to
material...
extend in that universe?
Well,
Sonic,
okay.
you wrote a Sonic fan fiction
Okay,
story!
that's
No, but I mean, to be fair, and I can't believe I'm defending fan fiction, but in reality, it's not just like 13-year-old or girls or like people that are
Which
just
is
like
even more sad.
Well, no, but it's interesting to see that there are legitimately like people that are in college, even beyond that, which is, I don't really know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but at least they're better writers. But like,
You would argue
there's
that
some
the
people
fleets of
that had
you guys-
Patreons for writing fan fiction.
That's ridiculous.
Like,
I mean, there's
it's kind of-
Patreons for everything.
Like
kind
but-
of
Patreons for
interesting,
everything,
like-
but like it's interesting that they're that invested. And I mean, in itself, I can technically see the merit. If I were to look objectively at what fan fiction is, it's essentially a way to practice writing.
Yeah.
And you don't have to deal with the
But it's-
hardest part
but
of
it's
writing,
public,
which is
though.
you don't have to
Creating a
deal with
world.
creating worlds and creating characters. That is the hardest
But
part
it's
of
but
writing.
it's open though. Like there's one thing you do it for practice to yourself. Like you're taking an existing like world and then you're building off it for practice for your own. But you're making this public. You're making no bones. Like okay, this
Well,
is
because
me.
look,
This is
look,
this
yeah,
this
yeah,
is
you
this
need-
is
and
Fudge Man's. This is Fudge
obviously
Man's.
the best possible scenario of what fan fiction is. Like most of it is either smut or garbage, but
Or
like,
both.
For some people, like legitimate people trying to get a start in writing or starting in fan fiction, like I forget his name, the guy who did. Do you remember the guy who did Adventure Time?
Yeah,
Yeah.
pen.
Yeah, Penn, whatever his name
Yeah.
is. He wrote a bunch of fan fiction before he went in and did like Adventure Time. Or the girl who did Steven Universe was big into fan fiction.
Oh yeah.
So like it is producing like legitimate like.
Well, no, but
artists.
she drew smut too. She
Yeah.
drew like edited netty characters, like getting it on. Like it's not.
Well,
There's a fine line between. anything.
I'm not
There's-
a huge fan of Steven Universe.
There's like a fine line because like of course there's some merit in it, but it's also completely wish fulfillment. You want to see what happens in your own universe, so you have your own ideas where it should go. So you make it that, and then you're saying make it public, and you present it like, oh, this is the objectively best way to do it.
I guess that's true.
So that's why it's bad.
Oh my god.
So can we all agree that fan fiction is bad?
Yeah, thanks,
Well,
Greg. You suck.
I feel like all
Good
of us,
topic, loser.
I feel like all of us changed positions in that argument several times.
Yeah, it's
no,
like Panther's suck. Well, actually, no, never mind. It's
I don't know. In my like after actually reading.
I have read fan fiction before.
Yes.
I read Soul Eater fan fiction.
Okay, I don't know if that was the,
God.
like.
Oh,
to be
no.
fair, Tom and I picked pretty bad fandoms to choose.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
What's a
I
good
like
fandom? What's a good?
that
If you
like-
have a fandom, it's automatically gonna have like cancerous people in it because it's
I
too
don't know.
large
I don't know,
to
like-
warrant a fandom for it.
I guess that's true.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I don't know. I read some, and I tried to do it unironically, and I tried to do it objectively. And if we were to take away the fact, yes, it's all like it's wish fulfillment, and yes, it was born from a fandom. It's not like the writing itself is bad either.
Well, sometimes.
Well,
Yeah,
sometimes
what
it
are you
is.
talking about?
Okay,
The
okay.
writing in fan fiction isn't bad.
Okay,
His
calm
hands
down.
as he ripped the gun felt like cheese.
Calm down.
waiting.
Hold on.
Like Satan.
Satan's cheese grater
I mean,
on his-
realistically, I took like the number 2 fan fiction of all time in Ruby that had like 10,000 followers.
Yeah,
so
and it was
granted,
about time travel, future Ruby.
well, yes, but at least it was well written.
It was well written.
There is no way you can tell me that fan fiction is well written, Greg. I have read fan fiction. I've read more fan fiction than you have, probably.
mean,
And I
that's
know that fan fiction is not well written because I read and enjoyed fan fiction.
No, I think the problem is it's
I'm
being
not
presenting.
saying you can't enjoy bad writing. I enjoy so much stuff that is so poorly written. I read Hunger Games. That's the
Oof.
worst written book in history.
Yike.
But I enjoyed it.
Yikes!
Chill, dude.
I mean, realistically though,
I read Divergent.
Well,
Like,
okay,
Well, okay, I'll give you that one.
okay, yeah, fine. But
It's like it's the same
The-
thing
no,
as
but-
like young adult fiction. It's not that. Most of it's not that good.
It's the idea that it's public. It's because if you were writing this to yourself, obviously it's practice to get better. So it's like it doesn't matter. It's like I started off writing this garbage, but no one sees it, so it doesn't matter. But fanfiction like .net, you have a public platform to see these awful people writing
this public platform seems pretty kind, at least in their reviews.
I don't know.
So I wouldn't even say.
Weird.
Well, okay.
It gets a little bit.
But okay, think about the audience that you're targeting in fanfiction.
Kind maybe isn't the right word.
You're targeting people
Tolerant.
that are also like you're targeting people
Hugbox.
when you write a fanfiction story that are in that fandom and are that into it that they're literally on fanfiction.net.
I guess that's a fair.
Clearly, even if
But they're looking for validation when they're doing that. They're like, oh man, I hope someone wrote about this.
Well, yes,
until you look at it.
At the same time, even if something is objectively poorly written, if you're that into the show, or if you're that into the book, you
don't
in
care.
the blank.
You don't care.
That passion only matters in art, quality doesn't matter?
Well, I'm saying that at least
I guess if it's a standard universe, people are going to eat it up anyway.
In this art form, this like fanfiction is so weirdly unique in that way that I almost feel like yes, passion is over quality.
But then bring it back to Subspace Emissary. No one would ever it's very sad to me that someone is that passionate about the plot of Super Smash Brothers that they would write, 2.5 million words about it. That's not enlightening to me. That is horrifying and disheartening.
Hey, no, because you have to realize for them to commit to that, that's obviously their entire world. So they don't care.
But that's sad.
It's pitiable from our perspective because it's like, well, I can't imagine that.
Yeah. Well, it's sad to me. It makes me feel bad.
It's like okay,
Scrolling
obviously
through fanfiction.net does not make me feel good, especially when you scroll through the least popular stuff. The people that are writing SpongeBob fanfiction make me so depressed.
By Tom Kenny.
I have read SpongeBob fanfiction and it is not a happy experience.
How do you write fanfiction about something
I
without
read
a
SpongeBob
a
Sailor
narrative?
Moon crossover fanfiction that was not.
I was there with Tom when I was.
But Sailor Moon has like a narrative though. You can't write freestanding SpongeBob fanfiction unless you're creating your own story.
There is freestanding SpongeBob fanfiction.
How? You're just making your own story.
They use the characters and they write their most fanfiction is like constructing your own story, just using the world there.
But that's you're getting like a subject that has no previous background in having a narrative though.
That's what happened with Twilight. She just created an entirely new story for 50 Shades of Grey and
but it was with
slapped Twilight on it.
But it was this existing character. Like she obviously tweaked it beyond just like she had 50 Shades of
what I'm
Grey
saying.
and she moved the names around for it. Like obviously there was more editing involved.
No, there really wasn't. It was
No
just
way.
the same. No, it was just the same characters. Bella moves to New York and meets Edward. That's how the original was.
That's really dumb.
There was minimal editing outside of names.
I'm upset.
Interesting.
That upsets me. That's yours.
All right. Well, I guess that wraps up my topic. Like realistically, I just wanted to bring it up just because there's so many stigmas against fan fiction that I wanted to see if they were true. Because I guess in my opinion, it's better to look into it. I'd say
only the best.
Yes.
Gives you a less good
skew.
impression of it.
I mean, in this case, the point of me doing that was more to see if it's true that everything is a cesspool of trash. And I learned that no, I wouldn't say everything is. Like,
I guess that's a fair enough point.
So, all right.
That's fair enough.
That wraps it up. I still have no idea how this podcast is organized. We just went into it.
All right, well, let's go to Kaden's topic here today. Kaden, what do you have for us?
There's a little bit of stuff in the news. You may have read this. You may have not read this.
I've read about it.
You read about this?
I've read about it, yeah.
So, there's been this thing happening where people's Alexas, like their speaker, their smart speaker that they talk to, like on the commercials.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just been spontaneously laughing at them. No like provocation. It just starts going.
My understanding was that it happened typically at a command.
Well, no. Okay, so what Amazon says, what happened? They say like people they hear Alexa laugh, and there's no like thing before she starts laughing, so she just starts laughing.
Right.
So they think it's like she's hearing it like dispersed and then makes the connects the dots. And
but it's a different laugh than the Alexa laugh command.
Well, like she's like this is like creepy. Like there's no I haven't found any recordings. It's like creepy.
No, there are recordings of it.
So they compared the laugh.
No, recordings exist, and the laugh that is happening is not the laugh that happens when you ask Alexa to laugh.
Can you give me a demonstration about what?
It's like the laugh that you normally give is like Alexa laugh, and she says okay, something like that. Whereas the new Alexa laugh is like a no, it's like It's not like it's
That's
as
not
evil
scary
as
at all.
that.
That's not as scary. That's not even,
it's
that
scary
wasn't
if
even
your- If
scary.
your robot assistant is
Okay. In my
Like
point
I was
of view-
expecting like a.
No, it's yeah.
Well, okay. Look, for me, based on what you just said, like, is it like the NSA like reversing?
No, okay,
their
so
keys?
like
Yes.
that's a fine line.
I have
though,
more
right?
than one theory here.
Okay.
Maybe it's a marketing thing.
a market.
Maybe
For
they're
what? A horror
no,
movie?
Okay, so go back for a second. Think from Amazon's point of view.
Okay.
In order to sell these products, they want their devices to seem as human as possible.
Got it.
If people
Okay.
see this thing, even if it's horrifying, that makes them think it is more human, they are more likely to buy this digital assistant because they're looking for more humanity. So maybe it's from Amazon.
I don't know. I think there's a fine
don't
line. Like I don't want my
Maybe it's
forks.
marketing.
I don't want my forks to start talking to me. Like
yeah,
there's a
but
fine
you're
line
not.
between.
But you're not looking for that in a fork. In the
Sure, I'm looking for it
assistant-
for my
but-
speaker.
yes, but like with Alexa, if Alexa is just randomly starts laughing, and are the people telling jokes? Like, are they?
No,
they
like,
broke
out
in
of
joke
nowhere.
recognition. So it's like you're trying stand-ups
like-
like, hey Alexa, what's the deal with airline food? That was really bad, Bob. I'm sorry,
Like-
but you
like,
need to get
because
that.
if I'm just sleeping at 1 a.m.
No,
and then all of a
like-
sudden Alexa starts laughing, I'm throwing out my
Yeah, no,
Amazon account and never.
I unplugged my Alexa, about
Years
a year
ago.
ago.
Years ago.
And disabled it. I have
And then
tape
it
over
started
my
laughing in your
webcam.
closet.
And it laughed anyway.
Yeah, it laughed at me and I smashed it with a
Then
brick.
I got a phone call from Boss
Yeah,
Baby.
No,
Like-
I got a phone call from the NSA saying, "Hey, you should probably plug that back in."
Oh my god.
No, okay, well, there's a big difference for like I was expecting like a sinister
Yeah,
laugh,
no.
like a ha ha ha
Boss
ha.
Baby
But if it
actually called me on my Alexa at 3 a.m.
shut up. Well, if I'm hearing like a like on the Alexa, it's just ridiculous. It's like if I hear like a Seth Rogen laugh, like
Yeah, but if you heard that at 3 a.m., you'd
Yeah, like,
just
it-
well, then it's funny, and then it's funny at that point.
No,
You
if
get
I woke up
woken
at
by that?
3 a.m. to laughing like that, I would.
If I heard Seth
so
Rogen,
dumb.
if I hear Seth Rogen's laugh at any point of the day, I'm gonna start laughing.
If
I don't care if it's
If
4 in
I
the
saw
morning.
Seth Rogen laughing himself in my room at 3 a.m., I'd be horrified.
Well, yeah, but that's a real person. It's a computer. It's
a
not gonna
robot.
grow
It's a
wings.
robot.
That arguably with the culture, with our culture today, that may be more horrifying because
It's a
I think-
speaker.
No.
We already
hear
know
me out,
that
though.
Seth Rogen has
Like,
sentience. We don't know that about Alexa.
the thing we need to consider is that so many people are so terrified of the robot apocalypse, and all these companies and like from Google to Elon Musk are trying to say no, or Mark Zuckerberg too. They're like, no, that's not gonna happen
'Cause
We
they're
have
robots.
fail-safes. But if this happens, I'm going to start.
There are no
freaking out.
fail-safes, by the way. It's gonna happen.
No, start saying like
Tom
weed.
the Prophet.
Start telling like weed jokes to Alexa, and if she laughs
if
like
she
Seth
laughs like
Rogen,
Seth Rogen, then
you
she-
know
yeah.
that there's something going on.
Oh my
I think that's the failsafe. Like you just need to start telling jokes to Alexa, and if she giggles or like chuckles at any point, you throw it out. So because that one's getting too
Yeah.
smart, you get rid of it.
Yeah, you toss out each Alexa that starts to gain sentience.
You cut it off at
Yeah,
the source.
you get a
'Cause it'll
Alexa
start
hookup
multiplying.
every 6 months when the Alexa starts to gain sentience. So you got to get a reset.
Oh my
Wait, so is it like would it be programmed with sentience then, or would it be like it's learning?
Like an emergent capability because theoretically it's not
It's not a learning one.
Learning algorithm?
No, it's not a learning
But there
one.
is the possibility that there is a neural network we have no awareness of
That
in
they
the
threw into
cloud-
Alexa?
in the
In the
cloud
cloud,
because
yeah.
Alexa is connected to the cloud that has gone and taken control of some Alexas in some portions.
And this top of the
So
line
Skynet.
AI
You're saying
Yeah,
Skynet's
yeah,
starting
you're
with
saying-
Alexa
so you're saying
and laughing.
So you're saying that a prototype
I'm not
of
saying
Skynet,
that is what's
a
happening. but I'm
prototype
saying
of
that is
Skynet
possible.
is only worth
Because no,
$40.
the difference between that and Skynet is because in this it would have developed without our knowledge. We did not develop it. It is an emergent algorithm.
If the computer was that smart, you think it wouldn't laugh? Because I gave it away.
No, but the
Yeah.
difference is computers don't have intelligence in the way we understand it. Their intelligence is entirely separate from ours.
But
They do
laughing is a
things that we
human.
can't even comprehend.
Laughing is a human expression.
Yeah,
so
but
obviously they'd be
they're doing
mimicking
it
humans
possibly in a form of some kind of modification of human psychology.
to psych us out.
It's possible. We don't know how this network thinks.
Okay, Alex Jones. You want any more? Like, should we start filtering out the water too?
Okay, like you were saying.
Okay, to be fair,
do you have another theory besides Amazon's doing it?
It's a glitch. It's a
that has to be it. That's it.
It's a prototype laugh that was put in earlier in the thing, and there's a glitch backdoor thing that makes it laugh sometimes.
Yeah,
so you think that?
I'm not saying I don't have a decision on what I think it is.
Is it wait? Is it both like robot like text to speech voice, or is it like
no?
one,
it's like human.
The second one's like human.
Both
or the
of
both
them
are
are
human.
both of them
Okay, so they
yeah.
were pre-recorded.
So
that's probably
you
like
think
something.
that it's just like
think
there
you've
were
got a
like
pre-recorded voice
multiple options for the laugh, and then Amazon picked one,
Yeah,
but they left
that's
the
a
other ones
that's a
in
one
the memory.
reasonable possibility.
But obviously, Skynet's more plausible.
Well, it is going to happen. It's going to happen. There's no way that the entire universe isn't taken over by neural networks. The only problem is their alignment, and if they are aligned with our
lawful
motivations.
good. Yeah, I remember I was doing D&D and I made my Alexa character
The problem is we
lawful
don't know
good,
how
so
to
she
program an AI that will only work for humans good.
Wow, that's really deep.
Wow,
It's like you can't program a human.
Yes, you can.
No.
It's 1984. Of course you can.
I mean, he does. Tom does have a point though.
There's a book called Superintelligence.
Because
I don't know. I think
Tom
when we
has a
start
really good
letting
point.
Alexa like teach our kids, like, oh Alexa, say a bedtime story to Tom.
No,
No, but
let me
think
bring to you an example from this book, Superintelligence, which is a very good book. Say you have an AI that is ordered to maximize paperclip production. Do whatever it takes to maximize paperclip
even if
production.
it kills humans, it will
So
maximize.
it will build a factory. It will build factories across the whole world. It will take over every other manufacturing business in the world in order to build paper clips. It will strip the entire Earth in order to build paper clips. It will search across the galaxy in order to build paper clips and enslave the entirety of the human race in order to maximize paperclip production. But then you say, okay, we won't tell it to make as many paper clips as possible. We'll tell it to make 500 paper clips each month.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then it spends all of its resources checking that it is exactly 500 paper clips and checking that each paper clip is impeccable.
How's that malicious?
Across the entire universe, using every single resource and enslaving humanity in order to ensure that it makes exactly 500 paper clips each month.
Why wouldn't you give it the methods to do it itself?
What do you mean?
Why wouldn't you give it like an
Because
arm that can measure the length of a paper
It's
clip?
always going to optimize because that's the goal of AI, right?
But if
to
you
optimize our output.
but if you program it with the assumption that you are optimized, you can check it yourself. You wouldn't need that.
But then what's the point of AI? That point of AI is learning and improvement.
No, that's dumb.
Huh.
If you're doing it for like a factory setting, then you don't need learning. You need it for like androids or something if you wanted to learn something. But then at that point, you're just making humans and just going around that like, oh, well, we're not really making humans.
Actually,
making
that's a good point.
artificial humans.
No, because Kaden's point about how you're just making humans at that point, that is a good point to make, because let's say you do end up gaming the system, and like I can tell, Tom, that you clearly don't believe that AI could ever be benevolent, but let's say you make AI that is benevolent, right, and they actually like humans, okay? Just
They like them.
Hypothetically speaking.
They don't love them.
So they
No.
enjoy the presence of
Like, yes, essentially that.
Alright.
And well, at this
humor
stage
you.
right now, AI is objectively better at reasoning than humans, and that could
I don't
that is-
know. Algorithms
I
are.
don't know.
AI is not.
Okay.
Well, AI's trying to get like it's trying to learn logic, which doesn't make sense.
Amendment to that claim. In 100 years from now, surely AI will at least be better at objective reasoning or
Yes.
That's fair.
like just like
If it is
mathematical-
possible, it will have happened by then.
Yes, if it is possible. So let's say something like that is made, right? Well, you could argue if it's benevolent toward humans, that like we can coexist, and they're objectively better than us in every way, would that not necessarily mean
Because-
that they could be the next evolution of us?
Yeah, you think of
So
that's
you're-
Think about it that way.
But there's no transfer of consciousness. There's no way to make that human.
No, but if
No, you can program human
improve- Yeah, if
consciousness.
you improve AI,
I'm not
to
sure
the-
I entirely buy that.
Well, you'll find out.
Well, I mean,
we'll
yes,
see.
we'll find out. Because like, if you
We'll-
improve AI to the point where it is
So, but then
essentially-
you're saying human and AI is coexisting.
Yes,
because you're
but
saying it's benevolent.
Well, it wouldn't be
Yes,
benevolent
But
in the
if it
fact
becomes human, humans aren't benevolent towards other humans.
Yeah.
Humans kill other humans all the time.
Yes, which is what I'm imagining that if we were to create something like that, we would probably be the ones that screw it up, not them.
Oh, like try to like
But
wait, we need to kill these things,
Yes.
and then they backlash.
We would be the ones that would screw it up. That's
fair.
what I think.
That's
If we would start the AI apocalypse.
I mean, I'm sure you could program
That's
it
the
to
plot
like.
to some Asimov novels.
I mean, sure.
Well, okay. I think the lesson to be learned is try to make your Alexa laugh, and if
Don't
it
buy an
laughs,
Alexa.
don't
Yeah, buy a Google Home.
go off the grid.
No,
why would
Google
you-
Home's
why
not
would
laughing
you
at you.
Plug the Google Home.
Intentionally put in speakers and cameras for anyone. God knows who to watch you. It is always listening.
Always.
Always listening.
Always on.
Always.
Always listening.
Oh.
Don't say anything.
Hey Alexa.
Hey Alexa, down with the government.
Greg,
FBI breaking down your
door.
door.
As Alexa for a second.
Okay.
Hey Alexa,
Hey Tom.
play Elvis.
Calling FBI.
Calling CIA.
Calling CIA.
Play Elvis. What? Elaborate.
Play Elvis. Role play as Alexa. Sing.
Okay,
sing
wait.
Elvis.
By play Elvis, do you mean
Do I
play
play
Elvis?
Elvis?
Blue
Do I
Suede. Play
Hey,
Elvis.
Hey
Blue-
Alexa. Hey Alexa.
Don't
Don't eat
please-
the mic. Okay.
Hey
we're done.
Alexa.
Time out.
Hey Alexa.
Oh my god.
Hey Alexa.
Hey Alexa.
Hey Alexa. Play the Beatles.
Play the Beatles.
That's not specific.
That sounds specific.
Play Here Comes the Sun by the Beatles.
Here Comes the Sun.
No, she sings it. She sings
Here
it.
comes.
Yeah, no, that's how Alexa
Yeah,
works.
didn't you see that
It's
Super
all
Bowl?
right.
Didn't you see the Super Bowl commercial?
What?
Where they had replacement Alexas? That was what happened.
Oh yeah, it's just a human.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what happened. They actually tested.
I like that relates to my favorite theory that Bing is just some guy in an office
on Google checking it. It's like, hey, it's like I can only go so fast. Well, like honestly, you're probably not getting enough hits on Bing anyway. It's probably the chillest job ever. It's like, oh, okay, this guy wants to know. Like this poor
guy wants
sap.
to know about jellyfish.
Yeah, this poor sap doesn't have he doesn't realize he can just get he can go to Google and he's looking up like what jellyfish are the most deadly for his trip to Australia. Let me check Google real quick.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
All right. Well, somehow we went from Alexis to Alexis.
Alexa.
Who is Alexis, dude?
Alexis?
Do you have someone you want to see?
That was supposed to be a close,
do
but
you
apparently
have
we-
someone? Do you have someone else?
Hey Alexa, who's Alexis?
Who is this Alexis in your contacts?
Alexis.
I don't know.
Who is Cortana? Who is Cortana?
Yeah, who's Cortana? Greg?
Who is this
Hey,
Siri you were
Alexa, who's
talking
Siri?
about?
Hey Alexa, who's Google Home?
Watch her like implode. Like, oh, what?
What's the name of
Who are you?
What's the name of the AI in Mass Effect 2?
I don't know. Like,
No.
I want one of those.
one of those,
Those are cool.
Why? Because they have bodies.
No, she doesn't have a body, does she?
like a projector.
She's got a
Just
face.
projection.
She's got a face. No, Halo's the one.
Oh
where she's
yeah,
got
I
a
think
full
of
body.
Halo.
Right, Halo's the full body projection.
Yeah.
That's Cortana, which is also
Yeah.
Microsoft's one.
What's the name? Can you look up the name of the one in Mass Effect
Look it
2?
up now?
Yeah,
Don't
look it
we
up.
need a-
Wait, I'll look
I
it
just-
up.
real-
We can move
real
on.
quick,
Wait, you
human.
can start
Alright.
transitioning. I'll look it up.
All right.
Well, it's gonna be awkward because then we're gonna bring up the name randomly.
No.
Andromeda. It's
Andromeda, of course it's Andromeda.
Oh, Mass Effect Andromeda, the best game.
Oh
in the
yeah, the
series.
best game in the series, Mass Effect Andromeda. The
Sorry,
best
my
character-
my
the
face
best
is
character
tired.
models in the game.
My face is tired. I'm sorry. I can't get
gosh.
into it.
Yeah, those Krogan voices. Oh my god. All right, well,
They get like Patton Oswalt.
oh my
They do,
god.
like-
Yeah, they got like Tom Kenny,
Bah!
D. Bradley Baker to voice him. All right, well,
All right. Well,
let's move on to my topic.
Yeah, Tom, I heard
So there's-
you had this very passionate
There's been a
thing.
lot of controversy lately.
Completely
you know-
brought up by you.
No.
No one brought this up by like he insisted that we talk
I
about
have
this.
no idea what's happening.
Well, okay, so you know, in the world of fairy tale creatures, there's
and you lost me. You already lost
you already
me.
lost.
they're
me.
very similar creatures. For example, there is the leprechaun.
Got it.
Green little man lives in Ireland. He likes gold. He likes to do a jig. He likes
so
to.
far.
I assume he likes whiskey and beer.
Well, okay, that's a little racist.
He only lives in Ireland, though, as far as I'm aware. Or
Yeah.
rainbows, which I assume is some kind of temporal portal.
Yes.
From that,
you know,
you have to think there's Irish people all over the place.
Yeah, I guess there are. I'm not entirely certain.
Every Irish person is a portal for a leprechaun to medium through.
So there's that clan.
Like aliens out of their stomach on
Yeah,
St. Patrick's Day.
I don't think anyone ever leaves Ireland. Ireland's in all of our hearts, isn't it?
Yep. It doesn't actually exist.
Then there's the Gnomes.
Okay.
Now, the Gnomes are an interesting clan. They're not united like the leprechauns into one great tribe of leprechauns.
Where
Gnomes have many
do you
gnomes.
get your lore from? Where are you
What is
getting
your
your lore?
topic?
Gnomes.
Wait,
So that's not
where did you?
Gnomes they're divided by gnome kings.
Okay, now I'm gonna have to stop you. Where are you getting your lore from?
The internet. I did some research.
Where? Can you cite me a source?
What are we
WordPress
trying to
blogs.
discuss? What are we trying to discuss here?
I'm
Are we
getting to
arguing
that.
with your?
No,
getting to
Tom is
that.
trying to validate gnomes as like a legitimate thing that there isn't.
There are some people that think gnomes, leprechauns would beat gnomes in a fight. I don't agree with that.
That's your topic. Okay, well, let's start with this. There is no uniform thing for there's no uniform medium to this to versus these two things against each other.
What do you mean uniform medium?
There's not like a book that says
because they're so elusive. They're such elusive creatures. We don't know much
they're
about
made
them.
up. They're fake.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if you can prove that they're fake.
Well, let me humor you and say they are real.
Yes,
there's,
gnomes are real.
There's no canon. There's no gnome canon.
Yeah, it's called reality.
No, what are you talking about? Reality?
The universe doesn't have canon. It's the everything.
Well,
It's like we don't know everything about physics. We don't know everything about gnomes. We know some things about gnomes.
yeah, but there's a you can get a physics textbook and read about what we know about
Yeah,
physics.
and you can get a WordPress blog and read about gnomes.
Oh, I wonder what's more valid.
To understand where this conversation is going,
Can't get a
we're under
PhD
the
in
assumption-
nomology.
We are under the assumption that both gnomes and leprechauns exist.
Yes.
Would, if they saw each other, have a battle royale to the death, and there is enough lore that we have in our possession
To objectively
that would
pick a side.
objectively pick a side between whether or not leprechauns or gnomes. would
all
be
three,
better.
all three are invalid.
That is correct.
In that case, I pick gnomes.
Obviously,
What do you
right?
mean? Why you pick gnomes?
Why
Because
do I pick
gnomes
gnomes?
have more powerful magic. First of all,
Okay, give me some magic. Some magic gnomes can do. Make cookies.
Psychic abilities.
Those
Number
are
one.
elves. Sorry.
Number two, they have special connections with moon energy.
So do humans.
No, not like gnomes, dude. Gnomes have such a strong connection to the moon.
How? How so?
They actually initially came from the moon. That's not a joke. That's not a joke.
Oh
Getting
my
this?
God.
Did you read gnome fan fiction? Like, is this
No,
what
it's not fan.
No,
Okay.
it's gnome
I'm gonna
theory.
come out
It's
right-
gnome theory.
Okay, I'm
Most
gonna-
people accept it, but it's not like
I'm gonna
a
come
fact.
clean right now and tell you that I don't actually think gnomes are real.
Oh,
However,
way to
man,
break
what?
break the illusion,
Yeah, I'm
breaking
sorry,
character.
But the theory is
If they
that gnomes
did.
initially came from the moon. That they were moon creatures.
Is
that
this
came
like
to
is this
Earth.
like this weird theory
on a
where it's like there was
moonbeam.
Martians and like Hebrews are not from the world and
No,
they're like
that's
transported are?
Madame Blavatsky and the Secret Doctrine. That's an entirely unrelated theory.
I don't know. It sounds kind of similar to me.
You don't want me to get into the Secret Doctrine. 'cause
Maybe some other time.
I'll start sweating and yelling really loud, and you don't want that.
I only know it from the YouTube video for like the narrator sounds like the guy from Extra Credits.
Yeah.
And like the really high pitched voice, so that's why it stuck
If
with
you
me.
ever want to hear some insanity, just look up Lemuria, and that'll give you some intro into the
You'll
Secret
lose
Doctrine.
it, dude. You'll lose
But
it.
anyway, moon abilities, and they have super strength.
Which is a moon ability.
They have a connection to the moon.
That's not an ability.
They can use the moon to harness energy.
To do what with it?
Lots of stuff, dude.
Such
Okay,
as
Travelocity taught me that gnomes can teleport.
They can teleport.
that's a garden gnome.
fair.
Is that in the
Okay,
lore?
Not all gnomes are garden gnomes, but some
All
are-
garden gnomes
no,
are gnomes?
And not all garden gnomes are gnomes.
What?
Then what are
garden
garden
gnomes?
gnomes?
Garden gnomes are either statues or
So you mean they're
real
fake?
gnomes in disguise.
So you're saying all garden gnomes are either like a fake thing that's not living or real,
Yes.
and some are real things pretending to be the fake things modeled after they're real.
That is correct.
Okay, and
Okay,
you lost
okay.
me again.
And-
And
and
you
I-
lost me
I
again.
feel like that's fairly straightforward.
No, it isn't.
Okay. Assuming that made complete sense. Which
What
it
don't you
didn't. Which it didn't. What I don't understand is what. Okay, so I was.
Who are they hiding
I'm on
from
the
if they're
gnome
so
side.
powerful?
I was on the gnome side because I just thought that gnomes were bigger than leprechauns, and I had no idea about this magic stuff.
No, they're not. If they're the size of a garden gnome, they're like a
But
foot.
garden gnomes are variable sizes.
Well, what do leprechauns?
They're not going to
have?
be.
What
A
do
leprechaun's like
have?
4 feet.
Leprechauns, I don't even know why people think leprechauns would win. They only live
They have
on
luck.
islands.
They have luck.
They probably smell.
They have luck.
Like
they
they've
have
got gold,
infinite
but they
luck.
can't use
They
the
do
gold
have
to
it.
spend.
They have
But they
infinite
have
luck.
Infinite luck. Tom.
Yeah,
They're
but
the ultimate
luck
lucksters.
can't only win.
You can win. If I learned anything from watching Fate Stay Night, it's that the luck skill is the most important thing to have.
If I played Danganronpa, and I like to think I did, it's being lucky is enough to carry you through some very intense.
It really isn't.
I don't
Like,
know.
have you ever
Like,
played Fallout? The luck is just not that important at all.
That's like crit though, right? Crits
Yeah.
are good. Crits are
Crits
good.
are nice, but you don't need crits.
Okay, let's
You
look
can't
at
live
this.
on
So
crits
you're
alone.
saying
If you put all of your luck, all of your points into luck, like you crit every time, but your attack is 0 anyway, so you're not doing anything.
Well, yeah,
no,
but
because
here
usually
we
crits
have-
ignore defense, so you're still getting like a mod, like what you're normally like. If you're having, I think in the D&D group of these fantasy creatures,
I don't play D&D.
Well, okay.
You seem
I'll
like
humor
you'd
you.
like to play D&D.
I'll humor you. I feel like leprechauns should be the rogues, who would be like they have high DPS and like they'd be really lucky, so they get crits all the time.
So-
Gnomes would be more like they'd be like the bishops. They'd be like the
clerics.
clerics. Yeah, they'd be
Because
the
they have
clerics.
pointy hats.
Okay, so
Well,
let me blow your mind here for a
Okay,
second.
let's hear it. Okay,
So,
Tom's crouching.
There are
right
different
now.
distinctions of gnomes. Not every gnome lives the same lifestyle.
But they all have the same powers?
Most gnomes are just friendly forest people that take care of the forest. See, they're not fighters really. I mean, they're
Why are they in hiding?
Each
Wait,
king-
why are gnomes
'cause-
hiding?
Yeah, why are
because
gnomes-
they're mysterious creatures. Can I tell you a story for 1 second?
All right,
Okay.
go on,
So-
go on.
Go on, Tom.
Go
tell
on.
Us, tell us about
So,
gnomes.
most gnomes are designated by which king they follow by their color.
What king? There's gnome kings.
There are
now?
different gnome kings. That is not relevant to the rest of the story, but I just want to let you know, red, blue, orange, not yellow or green. Yellow or green have special meanings. Yellow.
Where's this gnome king?
Yellow
then?
gnomes are gnomes that were abandoned as a child and don't have a king right now. They typically find a gnome king, however,
So how are they yellow?
because that's their distinction. They put the yellow on them so they can know what's this gnome doesn't
like,
have
are
a
you talking
king.
about like a hat?
But if
Hat
they're-
and clothing.
Hat and
if
clothing.
they're
However-
if they're abandoned from birth, then they're kids, so they don't know the rules of the gnome kingdom because they're not in a kingdom.
Yes,
so they
but then
can't
other
learn it.
gnomes can know what's their deal, what's going on.
But they
with
won't
these
know. They
gnomes.
won't know. Those abandoned gnomes won't know the
Listen,
deal.
I don't
of
make
making-
I don't make the rules, Caden. I
Who
just
makes the
tell
rules? That's what I want to
The
know.
gnome kings. I
The
would
gnome
assume
kings.
it's tradition. Gnomes are very tradition-oriented creatures.
Tom.
However, green gnomes. Green
Are-
gnomes are rangers.
Rangers.
Oh, so they'd be the ranger.
They're
class.
rangers and woodsmen. They're like Strider.
Tom, I bore with I
Well, they couldn't use a long.
tried
They
to
can't use
follow this for
longbows
as
because
long
they're too
as I could.
short.
No, they use like they use short bows.
Tom, you are clearly the gnome and leprechaun expert. And
Obviously.
Kaden and I are just struggling to keep up here.
I think the problem is I can't comprehend what you're telling me.
What do you mean you can't comprehend? I've made it very clear.
No,
Caden.
obviously not, dog, because you haven't answered.
What don't you understand? Tell me what you don't understand.
I don't
about
understand
gnomes.
how you know this.
I've done research.
From what?
What research?
I got on the internet and I looked up gnome knowledge.
From who? Who told you? So you're telling me you only have secondhand accounts of
No,
how
I've
gnomes
never
work.
seen a gnome.
So how?
To my
how
knowledge,
can-
I've seen garden
okay,
gnomes,
okay,
and maybe
okay,
some
you
of those
can't
are
say-
real gnomes.
So why don't you just test every garden gnome you see? Like, what would happen if you hit a gnome
They
pretending
have
to be a garden gnome?
moon
instead?
powers, dude. Maybe they're
You never
turning
told me
into
what a
rocks.
gnome. You never told me what a moon power was either.
I don't know what a moon power is. That's for the gnomes to know.
So I can't. I'm not scared of gnomes because, as far as I know, they're just people who live in the forest. Like, I don't know any of their powers. Like, oh yeah,
They have moon powers.
Okay, well, in
moon powers.
In Tom's defense, you can't say seeing is believing, and that moon powers for gnomes don't exist.
I just know. I just want. Okay,
Yeah,
I,
you don't know for a fact.
because you
I'm
can
not
know.
saying moon powers don't exist. I'm saying I don't know what moon powers would be if they did exist. And two, what I'm saying is there's no book. There's no like written scripture
Just because
primary
it-
by gnome kings
Yeah,
Just
telling me
because-
how the
but
gnome
the
world.
Bibliotheca Pleiades.
Just because we haven't seen it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Tom. Kaden, have you seen a Mongolian person in your life?
Well, I'm sure I have.
But I bet you, but you didn't know.
Yeah,
So
fair
you've
enough.
you've not seen a Mongolian. So does that
And
mean
acknowledge
Mongolia
it.
doesn't exist?
Have you ever seen?
I don't know.
Exactly.
I mean,
So you can't say that just because
we're
you
not
haven't
gonna
seen
get
gnome
into
doesn't
metaphysical
mean
because
that
I
gnomes
haven't seen it.
exist.
It doesn't exist. It's not a tree falls in a forest. It's like there's a physical thing. There's written evidence that Mongolia exists.
Yeah,
there's
written evidence that gnome exists.
From where?
Okay, back in history, Herodotus, the first historian, wrote about giants and gnomes.
Did he?
Yes, he did. The first historian in history wrote about giants, and
I'm sure he mistook really tall people and really short people as gnomes and trolls.
Or maybe you're
giants.
mistaking gnomes and trolls for tall and short people.
If that was the case,
God.
you could be a gnome.
Have you ever seen Men in Black? Everyone's an alien in that movie. Maybe everybody's a gnome. We don't know that. You ever seen Gravity Falls? Maybe we're all a gnome in a big coat.
For our listeners out there, what this looks like in real life is basically a 7-foot tall man looking down at a 4-foot tall
Manlet.
angry
Manlet and saying,
It's literally
wow,
just-
gnome. And it's like, well,
No.
you're a giant. It's like, what'd you just call me? And then they fight. And then it's like,
That's what
some
this
random
is.
historian saw that and said, this is amazing. Like, I had to write this down. This is incredible.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting.
You just seem really angry.
I'm angry because people never believe me when I talk about.
You
these
seem
gnomes.
impassioned about
Okay,
a subject
Tom,
that has
what
no
do they
reason to
not
be
believe?
impassioned
Tom,
about.
what do they not believe? You're still losing me. Are we still
Because
talking about
gnomes
gnomes
would
versus
so
leprechauns?
clearly be leprechauns.
Well, okay,
Okay.
let me raise you this point. How many snakes are in Ireland?
They couldn't-
0.
Yeah,
How many
that wasn't-
leprechauns are in Ireland?
That wasn't
All of
because
them.
of the leprechauns.
How do you know?
St. Patrick.
How do you know St. Patrick wasn't a leprechaun?
St. Patrick wasn't a leprechaun because he was from Wales. He
No,
wasn't from Ireland.
no,
He was from Wales.
but he
You
was
knew that.
he was kidnapped as a slave for Rome, so he lived in Rome most of his life. He could still be. Obviously, the leprechauns had to come from somewhere.
You saying they came from? Saying St. Patrick was the first leprechaun?
I'm sure. There's no reason that we couldn't believe
You're
that.
going to make?
There's no
I went
more
to a
evidence that
Catholic
he isn't
school.
than he is.
Because leprechauns are pagan creatures. They don't worship Christ.
Why do all the Irish people love leprechauns then? Because they're the most Catholic country, like next
Because
to Italy.
the Catholic Church went and twisted leprechauns into their own thing. They said, oh, leprechauns can be Christian now because Ireland's Christian because we're taking away all your pagan religion.
What did leprechauns used to symbolize then?
They symbolized fertility and free love
And good harvest.
and good harvest and gold. I mean, that's what most pagan. It seems like
Just say
every
that.
single pagan god represents fertility.
It's fertility, a good harvest, and like love. That's like every pagan god. Well, no, leprechauns weren't pagan gods. They were like creatures.
They were imps.
Imps?
Imps.
Aren't imps like demons though? Well, I guess that's the Catholic Church then. They probably
Yeah,
heard
that's-
imps and they're like demons.
Yeah.
I guess that's fair.
It's an interesting question what imps really are. Are imps any mischievous
Okay,
spirit?
okay.
So are you
What's the
saying the
definition
imp
of
family encompasses gnomes and
Well,
leprechauns then?
that's a question of taxonomy, and I'm no scientist.
Nomus nomacalco.
You apparently though have you have a degree in gnomology.
Nomus leprechaunus.
Self-taught.
Nomus
teach him
yard
master class.
gardinicus.
Okay, so let's say
Let's
review.
Let's say
Gnomes don't exist.
Okay, no. Let's say Kaden and I both agree that gnomes can beat leprechauns.
Okay, yes.
Is there anything else that you are frustrated by?
In regards to
In
gnomes
regards
in
to
general.
gnomes.
I mean, I'm frustrated by a lot of things, to be honest. Gnomes don't really get a lot of respect in modern day culture. They're kind of just jokes.
Probably because
punchlines.
moon powers don't mean anything.
What do you know? I mean, first of all,
You scared of vampires? They suck your blood. You're scared of a werewolf? It claws your eyes out. You're scared of a gnome? It has a moon of powers? What does that even mean?
The
Okay.
moon can blood moons? Blood moons? That's the gnomes.
yeah,
That doesn't do anything.
all of the enemies get moved up one level.
No, this isn't Zelda. He doesn't respawn enemies. Gnomes have no power. They have
How
no
do you
magic.
know that? How do you know that?
All of these
From what he told me.
Do you know how many missing persons cases there are in America?
And you're saying they're gnomes?
Greg,
You just
look
said
up
gnomes
how
are
many
malevolent.
missing persons, how many unsolved Jane Does there are in America each year?
What does that have to do with gnomes? You
Unsolved
just
Jane-
said they had no
I'm getting,
quarrel.
I'm getting there. All right.
How many unsolved missing?
Person cases per year. Give me that statistic.
And how many are suspected to have been caused by gnomes? You'll see a very harrowing overlap.
Well, okay, so there are 90,000.
90,000 unsolved missing persons cases per year.
And how many
I'm
think
not
are
saying
literally the
all
gnomes?
of those are gnomes. But if you had
But
moon powers,
we can't take them out of the line of suspicion.
yeah. We don't.
They have no reason to. Why do they?
These are unsolved.
We don't know.
You
those.
never gave me
These
any
are
lore as
unsolved
to why
mysteries.
gnomes hate anyone.
Caden has a point.
I don't know.
I still don't understand.
Why does Cthulhu hate the world? We can't comprehend.
Because it's
his
evil demon
motivation.
lord. You described the gnomes as like benevolent forest spirits.
Because we're ruining nature. Have you seen our cities? Litter all over the place. The Indians are crying because there's litter on the highway.
So you're saying gnomes are like Mother Nature's like fingers.
They're guardians.
Despite not being from
They're
Earth.
like this weird little. Yeah, no, they came to Earth to protect it. They came to Earth to protect it.
What?
Okay.
They saw humans building
Okay.
cities and littering on the ground. They're like, "Oh, get them."
And that was like the Native American commercial where like the tear,
Yeah,
the lone
the
tear.
tear falls
It was
down,
like that, but
except
on the
those were
moon
trying
with
to
gnomes.
Yeah,
No, it wasn't.
They're like, "Oh no."
So this is what I've gathered from this entire conversation. I'm gonna try to wrap this up.
Uh-huh.
When the asteroid hit the Earth and created the moon, what it actually did was it took a chunk of Mother Nature's spirit, which became gnomes
Yes.
on the moon.
Yes, I like that theory.
It became her inner heart.
The moon gnomes then came back to Earth. And because they were a part of Mother Nature, became Mother Nature's liaisons to the human world.
Yes.
So why are we
because
any
of-
more? How are we any less valid as Mother Nature's protectors than gnomes are?
Because we're ruining. Mother
Because we're
Nature.
ruined.
Are you saying we were
the
alien? We were
gnomes
alien
the
species
backup
on
plans.
the asteroid that
We
hit
don't know.
Earth?
Okay, to get real here for a second, we're a product of an alien breeding program on Earth to create food for the reptilians.
Were the
He got, he
reptilians
got
here
it,
first?
he got us
To
there.
be
reptilians?
fair, that is the correct.
So the gnomes came here
got
to
us
save us
there.
from the reptilians who are tearing down our
No,
forests.
they have no idea about the reptilians.
What?
How does the gnomes
What?
not know about the reptilians?
They're separate things.
What?
Unrelated.
How many mystical worlds are happening right
There's
now?
a lot of other worlds. No.
Oh my god.
I can't win. I can't win this. There's no
This
win.
wasn't-
Tom,
This
the
is a
problem.
friendly
I mean,
discussion.
Caden, the problem was that you were trying to win a battle against someone with all the information when you had none.
I'm trying to use my
You don't
logic
even
to.
know what moon powers are.
You're right. I don't know what moon powers are, and I don't think I ever
bet
will
you don't
learn.
even have moon powers.
I
dude.
don't have moon powers because I don't know what that means.
Oh yeah, if you knew what it means, maybe you'd have a few.
What's a moon-
are we in
Give me an
this
example.
conversation?
Give me an example. Give me an example of a moon power.
You can.
Haven't you played Pokemon? You can heal yourself.
Yeah.
It's not movement. This isn't taking from other sources. You're saying there's moon powers that are separate and are unique to gnomes.
Yes.
What are
They have
they?
special connections to the moon, so they can sense the moon's energy.
The moon. What moon energy?
You are dodging
The
the
moons
question.
have energy, and they
the
absorb
moon. The moons. Are you telling me there's a second moon now?
The moon has energy. They absorb the energy, and they can use that for moon magic, such as I don't know, growing plants better, maybe.
In moonlight.
So how does that help with them with combat?
They can grow poison and poison their enemies. I don't know exactly what moon powers are. I'm not a gnome, but I'm just assuming.
Are you sure you're not a gnome?
Yeah,
If you don't tell me if you're a
To
gnome,
be
it's
fair,
entrapment.
Like, I'm not wearing a yellow shirt. I'm wearing.
You're
a
wearing green.
Shirt,
You're
so
wearing green.
If I
He's a
was a gnome, I'd be a
ranger.
ranger
Ranger.
gnome. I'd be like Strider gnome.
If you don't tell me exactly what kind of gnome you are, it's entrapment. You have to tell me. You have to tell me.
I follow.
If you're a gnome, you have to
I
tell
follow the purple gnome king.
me.
Everyone, which gnome king would tag yourself? Which gnome king are you?
I don't
Tag
know.
yourself in
I
the
don't know.
comments.
I don't know
There's
the
no
lore.
way that you
Everybody,
guys.
I don't know the lore.
Everybody in the comment section below, tag yourself. Which gnome king are you?
If any of our listeners manage to stay
To-
through that entire gnome thing and not
Then they
get
must know
lost,
what gnome. Then
I
they
would
must
be
know what
impressed.
gnomes are, obviously, and
Obviously.
and those two people.
No, I'm educating people.
Okay.
Okay. Yep. And
I'd just like to say-
if you were educating me, I've learned nothing from
I'd just
your gnome
like to say
discussion.
in
Gnome-
advance
gnomes
that
have
I'm
moon-
sorry.
moon powers.
I'm sorry.
You learned that.
Oh my gosh.
You learned that what green gnomes mean. You learned what yellow gnomes mean. You learned what leprechauns are. You learned about the history of the Catholic Church in Ireland.
Wow, this is really. Looking back, look at all that we learned.
Well, we've come so far.
We've come so far.
In the 50-ish minutes that we've been recording, I've learned a lot about gnomes.
What a
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
discussion.
Yeah,
Well,
I
like,
guess-
anything else you guys want to know about gnomes? I gave you my final bits and pieces of like what I want.
I don't know. Honestly, I think I'm
gonna-
exhausted.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna
I
try my
think
best to
everyone-
forget about gnomes.
everyone
Actually,
should watch Gnomeo and Juliet.
is that canon?
It is canon, but it's not like that's not how gnomes actually act. But it's like
How do you know all this about gnomes? But then you're like, well, I'm not a
well
gnome.
because it's there's a talking statue in that movie, and that's kind of ridiculous.
How do you know they're not real gnomes?
No, there's a talking statue of William Shakespeare in that movie, and I think that's kind of silly. They shouldn't have put that in if they were going for accuracy.
And with that, we will close.
Yeah.
So, I don't know how to close.
think
I
that's
still don't
good.
even understand the point of this podcast.
All right.
It's just kind of,
And we
touch to touch.
stop.
We touch tip to tip, touch to touch. See you next week.
See you next week.
Yeah.
Tip to tip, touch
Toe to tip.
toe to tip, touch to touch,
Tip to-
tip to top.
tip to
See you
top.
next week.
Yeah.
Toe to
All
tip.
right.